You might be thinking that Worlds this year are going pretty smooth. We didn't really have any bug that would significantly influence the games, unlike the last year. But what if I told you that there is a champion that is frequently picked at Worlds pretty much every single year and that has been significantly bugged for the last 2 years? What if I told you that this bug happens many times in every single game with that champion and that this bug can be both intentionally abused and also used unintentionally? What if I told you that sometimes you cannot even avoid abusing this bug? I've heard some rumors about this bug being discussed behind the scenes at Worlds, so I decided it's about time to let everyone know what's going on. Well, get yourself a cup of tea or coffee and a favorite snack, because you are about to go on an adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of Rumble. The story of Rumble bugs begins on 23rd of June 2021. At this day, there was a Reddit post made by Nerlin, who is known as a YouTuber for his League music videos, although more of you may recognize him as a famous Mordekaiser bug finder. He is the one that literally wrote a book about Mordekaiser bugs. His Reddit post was titled, a 14-page list of bugs and issues on Rumble. This post was then heavily upvoted and reached the top of the front page on League of Legends subreddit. In that post we can learn countless bugs and issues with Rumble at the time. Although some of those issues have been fixed by today, many are still in the game. And some of those issues date as far back as to year 2011. Yes, 2011, because it was on 26th of April 2011 that Rumble was released to League of Legends. Just to give you an example, some of the Rumble issues from that list that still aren't fixed are inconsistent duration on Rumble W, Q hitbox being too generous, or Rumble ult that is more favorable hitbox-wise versus enemies at the very end of the ult in comparison to the enemies at the very beginning of the ult. I mentioned those bugs just to give you the proper picture of Rumble. Many people aren't aware of it, but Rumble is one of the most bugged and problematic League champions that exist. Back to the story. Few months after that first Reddit post, on 6th of October 2021, Nerlin made another post, this time specifically about the Rumble E-bug, the bug that this video is gonna be all about. At that time, it was a new bug. He made the post specifically on the Rumble main subreddit, informing the Rumble player base about this bug. So what is this Rumble E-bug? Well, this bug is surprisingly straightforward. If Rumble casts his E at 30 or 40 hit, it is gonna be empowered no matter what. Just to clarify, a Rumble E should only be empowered if it was cast with hit of 50 or more, but it isn't the case. Most likely what happens is that for some reason, Rumble E takes hit into consideration at the moment of it hitting the target, not at the moment of cast. Furthermore, this ability has another bizarre bug, but I'm gonna discuss that one later in the video. So in the current Rumble state, hitting E from 30 or 40 hit means that the damage, the magic resistance reduction, and the slow will all be 50% stronger, thanks to the danger zone bonus. Sometimes all it takes to change the skirmish is that extra 30 damage, slightly stronger magic reduction shred, or slow. What is important is that this bug occurs 100% of the time. It might seem minor, but it has the potential to be game-changing, especially when you know it's there and learn to abuse it. Also keep in mind the way people play Rumble. Vast majority of times you use your E at 30 or 40 hit anyway, because you want to have your Q empowered to do all the damage. So this bug is even more abusable, just because of Rumble design. I understand that when you play Rumble, you tend to stay over 50 hit, but there are definitely cases where knowing this bug and playing around it can give you the edge, especially in the early game or any time after you overheat yourself. In all honesty, it is extremely hard not to abuse this bug, or not to use this bug to your advantage, even accidentally. Can you imagine a single Rumble game during which Rumble never even once uses his E at 30 or 40 hit? The only way I can see that happen is if the game was remade. Furthermore, in the later parts of the game, when you know this bug, instead of staying above 50 hit all the time, you can try to stay above 30 hit, because you know at 30 or 40 hit you can still use your E and that will be empowered, and as a result of all of this you can have one extra empowered ability per fight, and also you can use one more ability before you overheat yourself, just because of knowing that. When you are at 30 or 40 hit, you might sometimes think to go for W plus E combo to have amplified E, but in reality, you can just do E plus W to amplify both. Pretty much whenever you are at 30 or 40 hit, it always makes sense to cast E first and then do W or Q. But when did this bug appear in League of Legends? When I heard that this bug appeared in the second half of year 2021, I was expecting it to be caused either by patch 11.14 or patch 11.15, in both of which there were some adjustments to Rumble E. However, according to Nerlin, there was another bug fix that happened around August 2021, but it wasn't noted anywhere. That particular bug fix at the time fixed the Rumble bug in which his E could be cast from 80 hit and you could immediately cast a second spell before the overhit. It was possible thanks to a tiny delay between E cast and the time that Rumble would register the extra hit from E. It's very likely that this particular bug fix is what caused the current E bug we have been dealing for the past 2 years. We certainly know that Rumble E was already broken for Worlds in 2021. But this is not the end of the story. This bug gets even more peculiar. You might ask yourself, what happens if I cast E from 0 to 20 hit and follow it up with W and Q? Would the E still be empowered? After all, you would have enough hit on hit to make it empowered. Well, the answer to that is no. Why? We can only try to guess. For some unknown to us reason, you have to be specifically at 30 or 40 hit at the moment of casting E. Maybe this was just Riot way to ensure it wouldn't bug even more, but who knows, we don't really know it. I can guarantee you that at least some of the players from the pro teams at Worlds know about this bug. But does everyone know about it? Because if you don't, that puts you on a disadvantage, and this is the worst part about it. Furthermore, this bug is extremely hard to spot simply because Rumble just lacks visuals to differentiate between normal and empowered E. But there's one skin that has different effects for normal and empowered E attack, and that is Super Galaxy Rumble. So it surely cannot go wrong here, right? Well, it can. You can see that if Rumble has an empowered E, it fires bigger rocket, while his normal E fires a smaller rocket. But the funny thing is, if you cast your E at 30 or 40 hit, it's gonna fire a smaller rocket, because it should be normal, but it still hits as empowered. So it only makes this mess worse. Some of you may rightfully ask, Vandiril, this bug is probably listed on the bug list that pro players have. For those of you that don't know, every patch Riot sends a special bug list to the teams. In there you can see numerous bugs and exploits or combos that you aren't allowed to use. If there is a bug on this list, and then it happens in the game, the teams aren't allowed to chrono break. This is because they were informed of such bug, so they need to play around it. Problem with this Rumble bug is that it isn't on the list. If it was there, then I would probably not even make this video. Earlier in the video, I said that Rumble E has another peculiar bug, and now it's time to show it to you. This one is also linked to issues with Rumble hit mechanics. It's not necessarily the same bug, but it's very likely that those two are caused by the same reason. If you use your empowered E, but you die before it hits, it's gonna hit as not empowered. And this is most likely, again, the issue of the game calculating whether or not to empower the ability based on the moment enemies got hit, not based on the moment when Rumble cast the ability. This is yet another proof how problematic Rumble is in his current state. When I'm writing this script, the Swiss stage of Worlds 2023 has just ended. I purposefully waited past the Swiss stage, so this video doesn't somehow screw one team or another out of the blue. Will this video impact the rest of the Worlds? I have no clue. Riot negligence when it comes to fixing Rumble bugs has been a long-lasting problem. I believe that most pro players playing Rumble are aware of this bug/feature. Certainly I hope so. If you are a Rumble main, you are likely to know it, but if you don't play Rumble, I'd say the chances of you knowing this bug are pretty slim. Considering how long this bug has been in the game, maybe the easiest way to fix it would simply be adjusting Rumble tooltip and adding that Rumble E being used from 30 hit or more would be empowered. This way we would keep this feature, Rumble players wouldn't be hurt, and Riot would only need to edit the tooltip. It may not be the best long-term solution, but I can definitely see it as a potential temporary solution. Let me know in the comments what do you guys think. Special thanks to Nerlin for the help with this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and Riot, please fix.